morning, it's Sunday 7th of May 2017. This is Sylvia Shivamurthy and you're listening to the newspaper reviews on www.ardhavaneng.com. Let's now look at the paper highlights from today's newspapers. Anti-corruption body faces closure. The Secretariat tasked to direct public complaints on bribery and corruption to different agencies is facing closure amid allegations that vehicles from the Prime Minister's office have been used by it for surveillance work. The Anti-Corruption Committee's Secretariat, located near Temple Trees, was set up after the presidential election in January 2015. It was an adjunct body of a high-powered committee that met weekly to review anti-corruption work. This was set up on a recommendation to the cabinet by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Among members of the committee were representatives of the Janatha Vimukthi Peramuna. However, the JVP pulled out later, leaving only the government representatives. Another highlight says, top contender flies away. Sri Lankan Airlines rescue bid grounded. The government is in a quandary over debt-ridden Sri Lankan Airlines after Texas Pacific Group, the only credible contender for a public-private partnership, said it was not interested. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has now summoned 3 ministers for a meeting at 10 a.m. tomorrow. The struggling national carrier faces a particularly difficult year in 2018 with a rising fuel cost and interest on debt hitting $55 million. Employee salaries are also set to rise as collective bargaining agreements with 8 unions are set up for renewal. Development Strategies Minister Malik Samaravikrama, Public Enterprise Development Minister Kabir Hashim and Special Projects Minister Sarath Amrugama are expected to explore with Prime Minister what options the government has to reduce the burden of running the airline. They are looking to Emirates again, as well as Air Asia and Qatar Airways, an authoritative source said. The highlight in the middle says, Hambantota deal. More major changes, 70-year lease on offer. The number of years that the Hambantota port is to be leased out to China Merchant Port Holdings Company Limited could be brought down 70 instead of 99, authoritative sources said. A draft of the heavily negotiated concession agreement was shared with the Sri Lanka Ports Authority this week. The shareholding ratio could also be changed from 80-20 to 60-40, with 60% of shares allocated to CM Port and 40% to SLPA, the sources said. And it is likely that the further 20% of CM Port shareholding will be up for sale to a Sri Lankan company within a specified time limit. Let's now look at the paper highlights in Sunday Observer. The top highlight says, ADB welcomes India-China investments in Sri Lanka. The Asian Development Bank says Indian and Chinese interest in infrastructure development in Sri Lanka is a good trend as additional support for infrastructure is essential for the island nation to accelerate economic growth. This would be a good trend as long as these projects can facilitate inclusive and sustainable economic growth, catalyzing private investment and enhancing the effectiveness of public investments and leading to human resource and knowledge development, ADB's chief economist Professor Yasusuke Suwada told Sunday Observer. Another highlight says, PC's consensus must for development. The activities of the Provincial Council should be conducted with a consensus to meet the development goals of the country, President Maithripala Sirisena told the 33rd Chief Ministers Forum at Cinnamon Lodge Habarana yesterday. The President pointed out that the activities of the 9 provincial councils in 9 different ways has become an obstacle for the country to achieve its common development goals. If we need to achieve the common development goals of the country, we need to streamline the activities of provincial councils and strengthen the cooperation between the councils and the central government, the President said. There's another highlight which says, decision at Central Committee meeting. A decision will be taken at the next SLFP Central Committee meeting on the SLFP MPs in the joint opposition who didn't participate in the SLFP May Day rally at Gatambe despite the official invitation extended to them by the party high command, UPFA General Secretary and Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Development Minister Mahinda Amaravira said. And now let's move to the paper highlights in Ceylon today. The top highlight says, UNP Working Committee meets tomorrow. New laws for essential services. The government will soon bring in new laws which will include new public services as essential to the life of the community so that trade unions will not be able to hold the country and the public to ransom with their crippling strikes, etc. There's another highlight which says, immigration laws to be amended, tough action against human traffickers. The highlight in the middle says, who is Rajitha to teach me politics, says John Seneviratne. Labour Minister John Seneviratne says that Minister Rajitha Seneviratne acted irresponsibly as the media spokesman. That's all for today's newspaper highlights, and we'll get back to you with more news tomorrow. Thank you.